We're at the first checkpoint at the entry to the Chernobyl zone, at the 30-kilometer point from the reactor. Once you go through here, the area is contaminated.
April 26th is the 30th anniversary of the worst nuclear accident in history. The disaster at the Soviet Union's Chernobyl nuclear power plant in 1986 contaminated large areas of Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. But 3 decades later, somehow, it's become a tourist attraction. You need permission to get in, but it's actually pretty easy to pay a guide to take you on a tour.
These 3 maps represent the contamination of the exclusion zone area by different isotopes.
This is where we are right now?
Yeah, exactly, Simon. So right now we are at one of the entrances to the exclusion zone. Altogether there are 12 checkpoints scattered everywhere.
And do you think it's dangerous for us to go into here?
It depends. Like, is it dangerous to smoke? Is
Yes.
it dangerous to, I don't know, drive the car?
Yes.
It's a very relative question, you know, I can't really answer it.
Got it. Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to take a chance.
Taking a chance with me were Wilson, a traveler from Hong Kong, and Andrew, a tourist from the UK. They both paid a few $100 to get a dose of Chernobyl. "20 minutes later, we were already at the epicenter of the exclusion zone.
It kept increasing.
So as soon as we came up to the reactor, everybody's Geiger counters started going crazy. So that's reactor number 4, the one that was destroyed in the accident, and it's covered with something called the sarcophagus that was put there in the 80s to keep all of the radioactive material inside. But it started falling apart, so they've built an even bigger cover called the Arch at great cost with the help of the European Union that's going to be rolled over to cover the entire sarcophagus. It's going to be rolled over on rails when it's completed in 2017. Why did you come to Chernobyl? We're right next to the reactor, which is the most radioactive area in the zone. Aren't you a little bit afraid of the radiation?
Not that much, but the meter is now still safe, showing the meter. Yeah. And according to the tour guide, she told me it's okay. Well, you can see all those people working inside without the protective clothing or mask. So I think it's safe.
And why did you decide to come to Chernobyl?
I think this is a quite special experience for me. It's not traveling by just like shopping or see the nice scenic spot. But here I can really see something but not common for the other tourists. I didn't tell my parents, but my friends say that I'm mad, I'm crazy. Why you go there?
Our next stop was the town of Pripyat, the closest city to the reactor, which had to be totally evacuated and has stood empty for 30 years. Parts of it were relatively clean, but you never knew when you'd hit a bad patch.
So counts per minute, so that's...
Yeah, that's how many beta particles basically we're having.
So is that a lot?
Yeah,
That's
like
really a lot.
normal is up to 50.
Yep.
And how many is that?
That's 1,600 so far,
Yep.
1,700.
So do you think it's dangerous for tourists to be coming here?
I think it's not dangerous for ordinary people to come here on one or short day trips because the radiation levels are not as high as people would presume before coming here. According to statistics, last year 17,000 people visited the exclusion zone as travelers.
Chernobyl is the site of the world's worst nuclear accident, and people come here for a lot of different reasons. I think one of the main ones, though, is that it's a time capsule for the Soviet Union of 1986, a country that doesn't exist anymore. And apart from that, it's also great for Instagram. Why'd you come to Chernobyl? You know it's radioactive, right?
The area is almost unique. I mean...
After coming back from Chernobyl, I wanted to double-check just how dumb a decision it had been to go there. So I visited Ukraine's main radiation research hospital.
Скажите, пожалуйста, как вы считаете, туристам безопасно ездить в зону отчуждения Чернобыля?
Я считаю, что туристам организованным, которые ходят по утвержденным организованным маршрутам, абсолютно безопасно и посещать Чернобыль. Туристам, которые пытаются обойти правила и придумывать какие-то свои маршруты, нарушать общие, скажем так, общеутвержденные маршруты, опасно. Не разрешается ни дома посещать, ни вот сходить вот там, где вот эти всякие заросли. Существует вопрос не только получить загрязнение одежды, рук, но есть возможность все-таки и вдохнуть эту пыль радиоактивную.
Ну, я должен признаться, что я заходил в здание. Что будет со мной?
Проблемы в том, что может вызывать мутации в клетке при непосредственном облучении. Показано, что может вызывать, скажем так, более быструю реализацию тех болезней, к которым вы предрасположены. Ну, то есть своего рода как бы вот, ускоренное старение.
Вот это обувь, в которой я ходил по зоне, поэтому я боюсь, что, может быть, она загрязнена.
Хорошо. Руки. Чисто. Здравствуйте. Это наши операторы.
Добрый день.
Эксперты.
Ого.
Да. Это вот система детектирования в защитной камере.
Вау.
Защитная камера 4 пи геометрии из 20-сантиметровой толщина этих блоков. Вот вес этой камеры 44 тонны.
Фамилию скажите, пожалуйста.
Островский. Симон Михайлович. Here we go. So they're putting me in here. I'm going to be laying here for 20 minutes, apparently. And they're going to find out about every bit of radiation that's in my body. It's kind of chilly in here.
Все, вот так вот ровненько лежите, руки вдоль тела.
Now the moment of truth. Ну что, все плохо?
Нет. Уже в течение измерения можно было видеть, что область цезии абсолютно благополучная, чистая.
Значит, моя поездка в Чернобыль была безопасной.
Да, она была безопасна, это можно сказать определенно.
Отлично. Спасибо вам
Да,
большое.
пожалуйста, будьте здоровы.
Tens of thousands of people are believed to have died prematurely because of Chernobyl. And even though my short trip there probably won't have any effects on my health, the consequences for the people of Ukraine, Belarus and Russia are still playing out a generation later.
It's surprising that there are so many kids here because the accident happened 30 years ago and none of them were even born. But it turns out that it's not just the people who were directly affected by the radiation who are suffering. Their kids have been affected too. 30 years after the Chernobyl disaster emptied this town and made large chunks of Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia uninhabitable, nuclear energy is actually getting a new lease on life from people who think it might be the answer to climate change because it doesn't produce the greenhouse gases that are warming the Earth. But with everything that's happened here, and more recently the Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan, it seems like people just haven't learned how to use nuclear energy safely yet.